Welcome back to the Next Level Show. This is going to be our Mindset Monday episode, our Not-So-Motivational Monday topic. Quick intros and reminders. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It just helps us hit that subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification button if you want to be notified when each episode drops. If you're listening to on audio version on the iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, wherever that is, thanks for checking us out. We have over 200 episodes there, so we have more content right now. Still, obviously, it's going to be the case for our normal audio platform podcast. YouTube is a little bit behind just because it's a newer source that we've been putting out content on. Also, if you want to skip to the part where we talk about each individual topic, Mike does a fantastic job at the timestamps and show notes on each episode. I've been spoiled because when I go to other people's podcasts, I always automatically go down to their timestamps. It's such a valuable thing that I have started to take for granted until I get into a long form of content. So we do that for you guys here, so you guys can jump around and skip around, maybe save a certain part that you may find super helpful and share that with someone that may need to hear it. Announcements, obviously, we're only two hosts still. Mr. Gabriel is doing God knows what at this point. I don't even know what kind of excuse to make for it. We've completely lost contact. No, he's had a family trip and everything kind of got pushed back with the storm this past week that happened. But hopefully he'll be back and we'll go back on track. And other announcements, Gabe doesn't know this actually, so we're going to talk to him. We may actually drop the frequency of future episodes. Instead of dropping 3 episodes a week, dropping them down to about 2 episodes a week. We're still debating. We don't want to make this for sure yet, but this is a potential thing that may be happening just because certain work and business endeavors, just so we can stay consistent. We kind of like to have some type of schedule since we're navigating with 3 different people in 3 different busy lives. So we got to find some common ground. With that being said, it's not going to take away from us leaving anywhere, but some changes have to happen temporarily. And this may be only a temporary thing. We might ramp it back up to 3 and maybe even go past at one point.
I mean, yeah, we all wear a lot of hats throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like we have so many responsibilities and things going on and getting pulled in all these different directions. So, of course, if you want us to keep up at 3, let us know.
Yeah, if that's something that you guys are about and you guys don't want us to drop down, feel free to let us know in the comment section or review section, wherever you're listening to, or shoot us a personal message at our Instagram handles that are located on the screen, as well as the bottom show note comment section. I think that's kind of all that I had for intro, reminders, and announcements. Anything else that you have to add, Mike? Anything that comes to mind?
Nothing useful.
All right, cool.
But
real quick, trying to think. Yeah, no, that you actually already mentioned that to me off air. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. I mentioned this that we watched Sweet Tooth, the show on Netflix. We kind of started it on the day the hurricane was there, just because fuck it. We finished it, and bro, it's really, really good. We got more into the episodes. We got past the first, introductory and this is who this person is and blah, blah, blah. Really fucking good. I highly recommend. And there's going to be serious problems if they don't put out a season 2. I need some answers real bad. So definitely recommend that. If you have not watched it or heard of it, Netflix, Sweet Tooth, it looks weird. It's a little weird, but get into it, give it a chance. Really good story. Also, I had a really weird moment with Jen last night, which she listens to the podcast, so I'll hear about this in a week when she finally catches up to this episode.
Shout out to Jen.
We always we have this little mat that Oliver sits on and plays on. There's a couple of them actually, and they play music, little tunes. One of them's "You Are My Sunshine." There's other ones that just has random songs. So we're always it always gets stuck in your head. So we're always whistling stuff or humming or singing along with it or whatever. Just normal parent stuff, I guess. And every once in a while, different tunes come out. So sometimes we're whistling the Harry Potter theme song or a Star Wars song or whatever. So last night, randomly, Jen starts whistling the Imperial March, which is Darth Vader's theme song, or originally Darth Vader's theme song from Star Wars, like the original. And that's a very distinct sound to me. I know those tunes very, very well. And so I like start whistling back to her, you know, like we're like whistling in tandem the Imperial March. And I said something like, we still haven't watched that. And she was like, we still haven't watched what? And I'm like, what do you mean what? And she's like, what's the song from? And I'm like, what do you mean? What's the song from? She's whistling a Star Wars song and she's not even realizing what it's from. She has no fucking clue. And of course, I'm like reaching for my Darth Vader spatula, like it's this. And yes, I do have a Darth Vader spatula. So that kind of like expedited. We watched one of the episodes a while back. I pumped her full of coffee so she couldn't fall asleep. I say episodes. We watched one of the movies. So I'm gonna have to reassert myself and put that forth and make sure that she stays awake. So we can get through those, because those are basically historical documents to me. I mean, that's like almost real life, you know.
Like it really happened.
Star Wars. Yeah, I don't know. It was a really big deal for me when I was younger. And now, like all the new Star Wars stuff that's coming out, the Clone Wars cartoons, the Bad Batch, the Rebels, all that stuff, it's kind of like reinvigorated. And not so much the new movies. Maybe I need to give those another chance, but yeah. So that's going to be happening here soon.
It makes me laugh, like looking at old movies when they predicted the future, or just high tech stuff. What was like in old movies. It's always interesting to see. Kind of an old movie that I kind of checked out. I put it on because I actually have I found my old DVD, but it got put back on Netflix. Was the Terminator movie, Terminator 2, best one I think of the whole like series of movies. For some reason, that one was just the best, man. I think part of it is that Arnold's the good guy. He's a good guy in the rest of the movies except for the first one, but I don't know. It was so fresh, so new. And bro, that movie always reminds me of like when I kind of got that like I want a leather jacket type thing in my head when I was a child. I swear to God. That whole like bad boy like series of just like tough guy, like buff muscles, guns, and like motorcycles and danger and explosions, and the sunglasses. You can't forget the sunglasses. All things that I still keep bro. I never go anywhere without sunglasses for years. I've always had a pair of sunglasses. When I was a kid, I'd buy the ones at the kiosks. I would have a variety, like 2 for $20.
I remember those
with the purple film. Super bad, but they just did the trick, you know. And yeah, dude, it's something since I was a kid. It got engraved in my head. Every time I watch it, I always have that appreciation and that whole like Bad to the Bone tune. They play it on that scene. It's just like it's that type of movie that I can watch over and over again. If it's on, I'll always watch it. I'll never feel the need to take it off. I don't know. It's just something about it. But anything else that we need to cover? I'm sorry for the listeners too. If you notice that I still lisp here from time to time, it's hard to talk like consistently for a long period of time without it starting to happen. My mouth gets dry. So
that's okay. I think this has nothing to do with anything. It's almost time for me to trim my mustache. It's getting to be like invasive, where like the hairs are actually going up into my nose and it tickles. So if you see me like doing this, that's what's happening.
Oh, does it make you sneeze?
No. It just feels weird. It feels like there's something like in my nose that's not supposed to be there, because it's like it just
I totally
gotta like get it out of there. Yeah. I don't know.
Annoying. It's so annoying, dude.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that after we're done recording.
Beard problems, man. I don't have any of those. I always thought to myself, like, when I was a little kid, will I have like a lot of facial hair too? And then I looked at my dad and I'm like, why doesn't he have any like really facial hair? He just has like this what I have basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, man, you can get an idea of what's gonna happen, but you don't think about it when you're a kid. You just think, oh, like that's just gonna happen to me. Like I can do whatever. Reality check. So our not so motivational Monday episode. A little shout out to Jordan and Syatt because we kind of like me and Mike read my mind on this one, and I had seen this piece of content he dropped a couple days ago talking about motivation. I think he was talking to a client or someone that was doing a Q&A. They were asking what to do about not feeling motivated or finding motivation. It was kind of like that, right? Or that motivation was like how to get that motivation was the topic.
Yeah, how to stay motivated, I think, is what it was.
Yeah, and the analogy that he used, and I have to give him credit because I don't want to take his analogy without it. He used the analogy of like you're holding water in your hand and you're clenching your hand as hard as you possibly can. Sure, you'll hold on to that water for X amount of time, but eventually the water will start to seep out of your hands, out of the, it's inevitable. It will start to come out eventually, little by little. And it'll start, and basically you won't have any water at one point. That's kind of like he described how motivation works. Like you can have it, you can try to stay on that high of like I'm motivated as hell all the time, but it's like the same thing as holding water in your hand. Eventually it will dissipate, it will start to leak out, it will fall out of your hand, and basically you're gonna have to start all over again. You're gonna have to grab another handful of water. It's not something that just stays consistent like that long term. It comes in waves and comes in cycles, and we've talked about this on this show, and we're joking at saying it's a not so motivational Monday. We're not going to give you any type of which I don't think we ever do. We don't give you any type of like hype content or like no days off, sleep when you're dead. You want it bad enough, or like you need to want to succeed as much as you want to breathe. Like I forget which is this guy's name is Eric something. It's just like this like raw like motivation shit, which I just don't care for. It's the reason why I don't care for it. It doesn't work long term, and I like his analogy because it was very true to what happens. The trick isn't to stay motivated or wait for it to come, which is what a lot of people do too. You'll hear this with clients, right, Mike? Is when you have someone come to you and they're like, I just can't get motivated. Like I'm just trying to get motivated. Like they're just sitting there, and I can just imagine them like it just pictures them like sitting in a chair and just waiting to be struck by motivation. Even the likelihood about getting struck by fucking lightning is like less than that. So It's like, the fact that motivation is just going to come upon you, knock on your door and be like, all right, here it is. This is what you needed. Another analogy that he used that I thought was like on point with this is like, I think this person was a parent, and for any parent listening, you can understand this, or even put yourself in this situation when you weren't motivated. Everyone, for the most part, went to school to some degree. How many times were you truly motivated to do your homework? It was not likely that you wanted to. And what was the response if you told this to your teacher, told this to your parents, which are like, I just don't want to do it. I just don't feel like it. You don't say I wasn't motivated to do it, but I just don't want to do this. Their response is like, I don't care what you want to do. You're going to do it anyways. And that's kind of the attitude and the mindset that I want you, the listener, listening to this, to take in. Like, it's not about what you feel. A feeling comes and goes. Like you can feel like something in 5 minutes, you can feel completely different. Regardless of how you're feeling or how motivated you are, you have to make a conscious decision to yourself that you're going to do what you said you're going to do regardless of. And I think that's the true power of, it's not about some fancy quote or some hype video. I can't imagine if kids like were on like in school and they were like listening to like, do your homework, man, if you want it bad enough, blah. Like it sounds ridiculous when you put it that way. And that's kind of what we do with motivation to like just live, man. Like the fact that you're able to do something, you have an able body that you can physically walk into the gym is already, I think, quote unquote motivation enough. Of course, I'm being broad here, but you got to stop looking for it from like a feeling perspective.
Yeah. I'm gonna circle back to the Jordan Syatt quote real quick, because that really stood out to me as like almost it's basically a perfect way of thinking about it, because even if you're holding water in your hands, and the water is your motivation, it's slowly slipping through your fingers, it's always dripping out, there's never a way to keep it perfectly sealed. Even if you're pouring more water into your hands, you're still leaking water. There's no way to keep it from coming out. So you can kind of think of pouring more water in as like those motivational videos, motivational quotes, music while you exercise, or music just to get you in the mood, or pre-workouts, or whatever else. You can keep adding that stuff, but it's never going to stop the leak. So that's kind of perfect to kind of frame it for you, because there's always going to be those times, even with music, even with a pre-workout, massive amount of caffeine, there's still going to be days where you don't really feel like it. You're not going to be motivated no matter how much you do. And that's where like discipline starts to kick in, where the habit starts to kick in, or sometimes you just really got to like think of it as like, I just have to do this because I told myself I would. I know what I'm doing this for, and I want to reach that goal. So fuck my feelings now. I'm just gonna fucking go and do it. And like, to be honest, I wanted to talk about this today because I've been feeling like that pretty consistently lately, where I'm going in, I'm doing my sets and my reps, but I'm not super excited about it. I'm not really feeling the workouts. And I'm the one who wrote them, so it's kind of funny in that way, but I'm just not that excited to go do it, but I'm still doing it. And I do feel better afterwards. But, even to that, to kind of speak on that a little bit, and this is something that I bring up with my clients pretty frequently, is like, this shit happens to us too. Like, we're humans. We're not, just because we're a personal trainer doesn't mean that we're like just this hype beast all the time. Like, we get in, ruts too. We kind of, not so much lose interest, I wouldn't put it that way, but we don't get excited every time we step foot in a gym. I mean, this is what we do every day. So if anybody's going to get bored of exercise, I think we would be prime candidates for that, because we're around it all the time. Sometimes you just want to go the fuck home, you know?
I like that you said that, and you included yourself, because I mean, I feel the same way at times, man. It happens to all of us. I mean, I think a long time ago, we just decided that it wasn't about our feelings. It wasn't about feeling a particular way. Like, sure, if you're not at your best shape in the sense of like your focus levels there, all the variables are perfect or near perfect, sure, you're not going to be as like intrigued or as excited to train. But I think the important thing is that we never just stop training. Like, we just completely just not do anything, because at the same time, we also realize we've done it, like the times that we have like slightly fallen off. Then that pain of feeling like inactive, like sedentary, tight, achy, is worse than if you did a half-ass workout and you just feel overall better. So I think we've gone through that enough times. Like, I trust me, like if I have too many days of inactivity, I'm like, dude, I'm getting like bummed out. I'm getting aggravated.
Yep.
I'm not feeling I'm not just feeling in a good mood, period, with everything, with people around me, with myself. My mindset goes to shit. And it's perfect because it falls into this episode. But absolutely, it's a fleeting thing all the time, which you can continuously try to like have a routine or a ritual that you get yourself excited to train. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that if you're just solely dependent on always the external factors as a reason as if you're going to do it or not do it, there's the problem that you're going to run into. And this is a real thing. This is what's going to be a determining factor if you stay consistent or if not. It's pretty straightforward. So I think the big thing here is understanding that like your motivation is going to come from you just taking action. It's going to from you taking that first step. That action is going to kind of start to create a snowball. And that snowball creates moving forward is going to be your results that follow, because you're going to get some positive feedback, whether it's mood, libido, physical change, energy, whatever. There's going to be some type of effect from you taking action. That snowball continues. You start getting more, more excited. You continue to see those results from your work. That in turn turns into real motivation because you see that exchange for your efforts. And that's where that snowball comes full circle, and it continues in that nice little vicious cycle of, action, results, motivation. You continue to repeat that over and over again versus trying to wait for the opposite. People always think that's motivation, then they're going to take action and get the results. It's actually the opposite. You want to start from action first. So I think that's a big thing for anyone listening. If you're someone that's like battling this in your head, understand too that not everything's going to feel as exciting, point blank. I mean, regardless of how fresh that new routine is for you and how fun it is, eventually it's going to be pretty normal. And you're probably not going to feel as enthusiastic. I remember when I started, there was a lot more new things back then for me in the sense that everything was new. Like I hadn't heard of many different things when it came to fitness. By now, 10 years roughly in or a little bit more, there's a lot of things that you've already heard of. That's why like sometimes we overlook certain topics. And I feel like it's always important to revisit like the importance of just basic nutrition, the importance of just basic training, not anything fancy, basic strength training principles. It's easy to get caught up the further you go. But if you like, we always revert to the fundamentals, man. They just work. They just continue. You can continue to see the ball rolling with like fundamental staple movements. Your routine doesn't have to be anything fancy or spectacular. And don't expect don't expect it to be so like epic, like a montage. Like it doesn't have to be these crazy jumping battle ropes into like a back squat, back flipping into the next push up, like burpee. No, it doesn't have to be crazy, man. It's that's not what consistent long-term training looks like as far as, staying consistent.
Yeah, I think that's that's got to be a pretty profound thought for a lot of people. What you said about action and then motivation, then the results, and that's just the way that little cycle. Because yeah, that kind of puts you in a position where you're like, okay, well, basically what you're saying is I have to take action without kind of without the desire to do so, even though, I mean, we're kind of speaking an analogy here, right? I mean, it's not like you're going to take action because you don't want to. There's some desire to do so, but you're not going to be like super excited about it the way like social media may, make you think it is or anything like that. But I actually, one of the other people that I think of when I think of this, that I don't go for like outside sources of motivation much, but somebody that I actually do respect kind of for his mindset a little bit. It's a bit extreme, but do you know who David Goggins is?
Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Yep.
He talks a lot about basically how he doesn't want to fucking do it either. And he runs like fucking 1,000,000 miles a day.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about, sitting with his shoes on the ground right in front of him and just staring at his shoes. Like, I got to put these fucking things on and go run, but I don't fucking want to. And I think that's really cool because, he's a really popular person. He's got a lot of people that really subscribe to what he says. And, he's real about it. He doesn't want to go out and fucking do these things, but he does anyways, because he knows that he feels better for it. He's got these things going on that he's working towards and these things that he's trying to accomplish. And if he wants to do those things, he's got to put on the fucking shoes and go for a run.
He's a very motivational type person. I would actually say like very type A. A lot of type A people would subscribe to his mindset. I just feel for like he's missing a big amount of people with his approach because he's very extreme. Like he runs like an exaggerated amount per week. Ex-military, I believe. His story is really cool though. I've actually like heard his interviews and I know he has a book or two out there. I think my buddy was trying to get me into that. And like, it's just I can see that and like buy into it because I was that extremist. Like super high level of like just high intense training for a very long time in my young years, and I had a coach yelling in my face. So like the way he like approaches is like stuff that I would be okay with, but I know a lot of people would resent that. Obviously some people right now are listening or may tune in for the first time or hear this message for the first time. They hate it. They fucking hate working out, period. Like no matter what type of thing you put in front of them, they just don't want to do that. They would rather do God knows what else besides training. And I think that the important thing is this: you need to stick to something that actually works for you. Whether if it's 1 to 2 days a week that you're going to dedicate, you try not to miss those days no matter what. No matter if there's a fucking hurricane, I don't care. Like, do what you got to do for as long as you can, because what's going to happen is this: nothing fancy, nothing crazy that you did was revolutionary, but it built like almost like basically a habit where you're not thinking about it. Subconsciously, you just do things. It's almost like when you wake up, hopefully you do this, you go and brush your teeth. And you don't have to talk yourself into like, man, I'm going to really just brush the hell out of my teeth right now. And people watching, they can see that I'm slapping myself, like just getting super hyped up just to brush your teeth. No, you were doing it so much every single day, hopefully, that it just becomes part of your routine, and you want exercise and being active to an extent being part of your routine. Average person every day, that only may look like 2 to 3 days a week for the rest of their entire lives. And that's okay. But as long as you're consistent with that, you're not relying on like, fuck, I got to get hyped for this one session every single week. You want it to be like, yeah, that's what I do every Monday or every Wednesday, whatever that is, every day, every time you go do that. That's part of your routine. That's why I'm very strict on my clients when they first start out with me too, is like, I don't hype them up. I mean, I'm supporting them, but I'm not hyping them up. I just try not to have them miss. Because if I know if I can have them stay consistent for at least 3 months straight without skipping a beat or not hitting their desired sessions, they just do better. And what happens is that the ones that are the most resistant are the best clients, because they just adopted this and it just became part of them, versus this constant fighting force. I feel like a lot of times people fall out of motivation, man. It's because they put too much on their plate when it comes to just working out, period, or when it comes to fitness in general. They're trying to do too many things. They're trying to do personal training, group classes, God knows where else. They're trying to do running miles every single day. They're trying to do Zumba, whatever the fuck. Like, you're just trying to do like a bunch of shit. Like, just cut that down. If you feel burnt out, you feel like, oh man, this is just like, I'm just tired all the time. I got so much, I'm stressing out. I have to go to the gym, blah. If it's becoming something like that for you, you need to reassess if this is you. You're doing way too much. You might find that you find yourself enjoying the process again because it's not such a drag. I think that's another key point to highlight before I forget, because I know I would hate myself if I forgot to mention this, but a lot of times, if you're dealing with motivation, is because you're probably doing way too much that is unnecessary noise. We always try to be effective with our stuff, the way we teach, the way we coach, the way the stuff that we talk about here. Be precise, have a plan, have a purpose and a reason behind why you're doing this. And you're more likely going to be successful with it.
Well said. I don't have anything else to add to that.
Cool.
I like it. I
think this is a pretty precise episode. I think we kind of went and knocked it out. We didn't have Gabe to like take us on left turns here, but we do miss him for it. And we did pretty good on our analogies too. We actually did fuck with him that we were going to be bringing analogies to this episode. So, haha. Yeah. Anywho, any closing thoughts, Mr. Mikhail?
I do have a joke, but it's kind of dark. I think it's a good way to start the week off. And
absolutely,
it kind of hits in a different part of my heart now because I'm a father. So just kind of, it's a joke, first of all. But either way, Do you know what the difference is between a light bulb and a pregnant woman? You can unscrew the light bulb.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. It's a little dark. It's kind of shady. It's not like, like the darkness, but
it got a little gloomy in here.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
That's what happened after that joke. Well, listeners, if you guys like this content, like the shady dark jokes, go ahead and let us know in the comments, reviews, or give this video a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube. Any 5-star rating and review helps the podcast tremendously get out in front of more people. We appreciate anyone that has taken the time to do so. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? It's free. Go ahead and do so. And if you want to check us out on Instagram, send us personal messages, hate mail to Mr. Gay for not being here. You can do so. You can follow us at the Next Level Show. My personal account is at John Alva Fitness. Gabe, send him a message at Prime and Glory. And Mike is at Mike Nellis PT.